Elon Musk teased the arrival of a long-awaited Tesla Robotaxi this August. Assuming it happens, the service will join a fleet of other companies hoping to bring driverless rides to cities worldwide. But the road so far for autonomous taxis has been far from smooth. Joining us now is Michael Wagner, CEO of Edge Case Research, a firm that helps businesses manage risk with driverless technology. Michael, it is good to see you. And maybe to start, Michael, just kind of get your top-down view of robo-taxis, because a lot of viewers, Michael, they have just been seeing these headlines of frustrated local officials, right, mishaps, accidents. They might think that kind of progress in this area has stalled. Has it, Michael?
Well, thanks for having me. It's certainly an interesting time. I think we're in the moment where the technology is good enough in order to start operating in a lot of different routes, but it's not yet good enough to operate everywhere. And so the smart moves that a lot of the technology developers are taking come in around which roads, which routes they're going to be able to take safely. So that's what we're seeing now, is some calibration to be able to determine where it works and where it doesn't.
And what characterizes, Michael, where it works and where it doesn't right now?
A lot of it is simplicity, because it turns out, especially driving in a city, is very complicated. You have to understand the context of what other pedestrians and what other cars are doing. And so typically the simpler the route is, the easier and the safer it's going to be for these robotaxis.
And Michael, I'm interested just to dig in some names. As we noted, Tesla going to host this robotaxi event in August. What would you expect to see there, Michael?
Well, they're obviously being quite aggressive in being able to roll out this technology, and they do have a whole lot of data that they can use in order to calibrate and validate their systems. I think what I would really love to see in that kind of event is what's called a safety case, which is a structured argument for why the technology is ready to go out into the road. We have standards that are written, like UL 4600, that they could use to be able to argue that very effectively to the public and to regulators.
Do you think that companies like Tesla have done a good job managing expectations around what autonomous driving is currently capable of and the timeline for when it's going to be capable of doing more?
So I think there's a variation in how well the companies have done. I run a startup company myself, and I understand that we need to be bullish about the future and paint a picture that shows where the technology could end up. So I understand that these startups need to do something like that. However, it's very complicated to explain to the general public what makes a driving test difficult and what makes it easy. Sometimes it's very unintuitive, and that communication challenge is a challenge. But I think as we start to see safe demonstrations from some of the players, we start to see smooth operations and get some public testimonials out there, as well as communication with states and municipalities. We're going to start to really get that communication down.
And Michael, I just want to get your take on GM's self-driving unit Cruise. Mike, of course, grounded their fleet last year after an accident. It sounds like they're resuming testing in Phoenix. New management team. What does Cruise's future look like, Michael?
Well, obviously, this is a big point where it could go in a very positive direction or in a negative direction. The good news is that they've brought in a very strong management team, and so I'm definitely rooting for them. That team understands some of the technical solutions that they can follow in order to get their tech out there safely. For example, doing a lot of data analysis with safe, sort of manually driven vehicles to understand the routes that they're maybe thinking about taking now in Phoenix. So I certainly am rooting for them and hoping that they'll succeed. But again, the key to this is going to be strong safety culture. Can they transform that safety culture and set up a transparent communication about where they stand?
So, Michael, to finish, sort of zooming back out here, what do you think is the realistic timeline for when? I don't even know what the tipping point would be. So I guess tell us what the tipping point would be and when do you think we'll get there?
Well, we've talked to date a lot about robotaxis. Okay, so I think that application is going to be quite incremental. If you look at what a lot of the public companies in this space are doing, they're saying that robotaxi proliferation commercially will take a few more years. I think much sooner than that, we're going to see self-driving trucks out on highways. Those operations are planned for the end of 2024, and there's obviously a great economic incentive to get that working. So I think we're going to see trucks first, and then we're going to see some more scale on robotaxis in 2 to 3 year time frame.
And Michael, when you look at the big players right now, Alphabet, GM, Amazon, do one of those players, in your opinion, Michael, have competitive advantages that the others don't?
Well, several of them have been, in this space for quite some time. Waymo, I think, would be, acknowledged by many as having a really strong technology, a lot of provenance behind that technology, but a lot of this is frontier tech. And so, it could even be a smaller player that's going to get out there and make some technological advancement that's going to open up a new route.
Michael, thanks so much for your perspective. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.